What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. Thank you for joining me this evening for the warm-up. Shout out to our sponsors who I haven't got the logos ready, so you can tell I'm disorganized again tonight. That is Action Coach Sheffield and also... Oh, why is that not showing there? Why is that not showing? That should be showing on screen. It's not showing. Because it's not. Oh, dearie me. We're all over the place. So it is Action Coach Sheffield and Triple Point Brewery. So thank you to them for sponsoring us. I'm also going to give a shout out to VMB Autos that didn't get a shout out on 90 after 90. We didn't do a 90 after 90 from the Liverpool game just because of the turnaround. So we're an evening game. I've noticed All's first comment tonight. What happened to the 90 after Liverpool? Well, it finished at like 9:30 at night. And I'm not going 90 minutes directly after. I know Nick does a match reaction anyway. I did say on the last warm-up that we won't be doing a 90 after 90. We'll just talk about it today as a quick roundup. And why am I smiling? Why am I smiling after we've been beat? And I think we're all of a similar match. I've seen different takes on it, let's be right. And it's interesting to me because some of the people I've seen online, I should say, not a lot, some of the people are just like, not good enough. When Wilder makes them substitutions, again, the substitution line, which I've criticised him for in the past because it's the people he brings on, not the fact that he has to make the changes. But, we're not good enough. Wilder's tactics, blah, blah, blah. And then, but in our Ramblers group, it's almost 100% positive in terms of, well, and this is how I feel as well. Well, if we're going to get beat, let's get beat like that. While... yes, we might not be good enough. We got beat by a worldie. I know they got a third at the end, but we got beat by an absolute worldie of a strike from a World Cup winner, who they signed for, 50 million quid. Absolutely unreal. So, fair play. What were we expecting at Anfield, in all honesty? No such thing as a free hit in my book, but gave a great account of ourselves. And a lot of the players are starting to show a little bit of desire and a little bit of fight for the cause. I thought Gus Hamer looked really good. He started and set up the move that led to our goal. McAtee showed it in glimpses. Really positive shoots of optimism. Obviously, McAtee won't be with us next year, but I were pleased. I were really pleased. And, coming out of 3 games where we realistically could have had 6, maybe 7 points if we'd have been able to hang on a little bit, and we've come out with 1. Why are we so positive? Well, I think if we're taking a step back, I think a lot of Blades have accepted what I think is inevitable, a lot of us do now, in terms of relegation. So the mindset switched a little bit to a bit more longer-term thinking. And Wilder's getting this right for me. You may disagree, and I'm happy to have that conversation with you, but I think he's getting it right. Talk to me about Ivo Gerbic. Talk to me about Trusty, who has put in some poor performances recently, but I thought he was very good last night as he wasn't asked to go forward. He was asked to stay back and marshal Salah, which he did, which he'd already done at the lane really well. Salah getting subbed off on 60 minutes. So talk to me about Trusty. Talk to me about Ollie Arblaster. How good is this kid, and how good is this kid going to be? Gerbic, I'm going to start on. And I don't mean I'm going to start on him. There's no two ways about it. That was poor. That was really poor to be so. I don't know. It just. What I will say is, it doesn't make him a poor keeper because he did that with the clearance that led to the goal, that directly led to the goal. It makes it a poor decision. Which is still a concern. But you can't really say he's garbage because of that decision. He made a garbage decision. He wasn't, it's a difficult one to explain, but that's how I'm trying to rationalise it in my head. And then I thought, from that point, and Wilder mentioned this in his presser today, from that point of making that error, there was a big sort of spotlight on him. How will he recover? And I thought he did really well. I thought he really well as a push. But I thought he did well to sort of not let it bother him. I thought he made some decent saves. I'm not going to sort of change the rhetoric on him. I'm still not sure, if I'm honest. And I would like some really strong competition coming in for him in the summer. I don't think he'll go for his release clause, which is quite high. So I think he's going to be here next season. And, you know, Wilder speaks highly of him. You don't know how much of that is legit and how much is trying to build him up to make sure, you know, make him feel confident. And you don't mind either way, really, I think. So, yeah, interesting. Let me know your thoughts on Ivo. I'm not going to keep us all long tonight because I've come on early. We're going away for the weekend. I'm coming back for Chelsea game. So I will be in Triple Point to anybody that's attending the game. So the fact that we're leaving late because of me and we're having to come back early because of me for football, it's not gone down too well. So we'll crack on. We're going to be finished no later than 6:30 tonight because otherwise I might not make it to Filey. Again, like I said, ask what happened to 90 after 90. Hope that explained it for you, pal. I know you like to come on and you're more than welcome. We'll do a 90 after Chelsea. Mo Salah who, says Lucas? Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Feel like the long-term future is really bright, says Dave. As tough as it's been this season, we'll rebuild stronger and go again. Roll on the summer, up the Blades, up the Ramble. Top man, Dave, and I agree. It feels like there's a plan. Well, I know there's a plan. I think we all get the sense that there's a plan. And Jamie Ireland's come in now. I don't know whether that's been officially confirmed. I've not had official confirmation of the name, not that I would necessarily get it. But all the signs are pointing towards Jamie Hoyland being appointed to the recruitment team. As I have said previously, he's not going to be the head of recruitment, but he's going to be a strong player in our recruitment team. So things are starting to change. I've got, as I said last time, a strong understanding that the medical department will be improved. That might not mean anybody leaves, but it might certainly mean that we get strengthened in numbers and, you know, more experience and what have you that's needed, whether that's medical and or fitness or both, which is great. So things are happening and plans are, I can tell you that a lot of plans are in place for next season already, whatever scenario we're in, because the club aren't giving up on survival. Maybe that's changed after last night, but certainly weren't last I heard. Steve Holmes, evening pal, one of our elite ramblers. Get the defence right, buy a goalkeeper who'll be able to play in the Premier League if promoted. Sort out the midfield, both attacking and defensive, and a couple of strikers done. So that's defence, keeper, midfield, and strikers, Steve. And then we sorted. We don't want much, do we, as Blades? But to be fair, that might not be far off. And if you're thinking about the defence, it might not be as many new faces as we think because Jack Robinson's been great this season. Can't say any other. He's now captain of the team. Whether that spills over into next season, depending on signings, we will see. John Egan might yet re-sign. There's talk of Holgate coming back, whether that's on loan or as a permanent. So those three centre-halves might be nailed already. And let's be right, people criticise Mason Holgate and he took some necessary stick in terms of his decision-making with that shocker of a tackle when he got sent off. Having said that, obviously the abuse that he received is absolutely unacceptable. What I'm saying is he could have expected a little bit of stick for that poor decision that he made. But since then, and his return, and I think he's been a solid addition for me. I think he's been a good signing, and I think in the Championship he'll go well. I know there were concerns about his performance at Southampton. I think he fits our system okay, and I like if he is an option to come back next season. If we can get him on half of his wages, rumoured to be 75 grand a week, which we won't pay. We won't pay that. But if we can get anywhere near, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind. Things looking brighter for us Blades on performance, and Robinson outstanding, says Pete. What a hero he has been for our club. up the Blades, up the Robinson Ramble. I can't go all in on Robinson because it'd be very hypocritical of me after my previous sort of opinions of him. He has started to change my opinion. I love his attitude. I cannot, and I would never have called his attitude anyway. That long throw, it seemed like we finally nailed that long throw yesterday, certainly early doors. It looked like it were actually going to be a weapon. I think it flatters to deceive a lot of the time because we're never first to it, but we did get to it a couple of times yesterday. But as a player, he's always got a mistake in him. And he seems to have showed up that part of his game. I still don't think he's a top-class defender, but he plays for Sheffield United. And that's why he plays for Sheffield United, because he's not a top-class defender. So in the Championship, I've no doubt that he'll go well again next season. Ramble on cam, absolutely, pal. So that is the wait, the sort of holding music before I come live is the old, for those of you that are new here, that's the old sort of Ramble song, which I love, absolutely love, but there's potential that we could get a copyright issue on that. So that's why we've switched it up. And I've gone to Matilda Shakes, which is absolutely fantastic. And shout out to the Matilda Shakes lads who are going from strength to strength. And thank you for letting us use your music on our intro. Luke Wooten says, brilliant last night. Brilliant's a stretch, but I know what you're saying. Prem should be ashamed of themselves for not even looking at Van Dijk's attempted murder. Needs to be a fairy tale ending for Klopp, though. Hey, up the Blades, up the Ramble. And look, Luke, I get what you're saying. There's been a lot of this online today about Van Dijk's hands around the throat of Austin Trusty. Trusty milked it massively, which I'm not a fan of, but he's got his hands around his throat at the end of the day. People do get cautioned for it, I would say. Very rarely do you get sent off just for like putting your hands on somebody. In my, opinion, I don't think it were a red. I think it's probably a booking, and then you don't give the corner. You probably give a free kick to United. We've got a ref that's one of our Ramblers. I won't name him just in case he don't want to be outed, but be interesting to hear his perspective on it in terms of what should be given. But I don't think it were a sending off. It just didn't swing our way, did it? Guys, good evening, pal. Great performance last night. If we perform like that against Chelsea, we'll get a result. Love it. I was saying to my dad last night, and I put it in our chat, that if we'd have played like that all season, or with that sort of endeavour all season, we might not be in the mess that we're in. This is like shades of the old United. Yes, we got beat, so we can't go too far down the road that how brilliant it was, because it wasn't brilliant, and it wasn't, Gazza said, great. In my opinion, it wasn't great, but it was the minimum we expect from Sheffield United, to hang in there as long as we can, try and catch them on the break when we're outclassed, and give it everything we've got. So I'm all for that. I thought shades of the old United, and Wilder will get it right. But this is what I'm going to say early doors, because this is what I love about the United fan base. So I'm driving round to my dad's to watch the game last night, and I've got Football 11 on, and it's a Wednesday night saying Wednesday fans are absolutely the best in the world. They're just so committed. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Absolutely ridiculous. I've saw then on TalkSport on radio this morning, might have been yesterday morning, talking about how brilliant Leeds fans are. They're the best, some of the best fans in the country. Then I'm on Sky Sports News today. They're getting done for racist abuse to Liam Rosenior at the Hull game. Sheffield United fans, one thing we are not is deluded. We recognise the strengths and weaknesses in our own fan base. What I will say is our away following is some of the best in the country. You always hear them on TV drowning out some home crowds, and that's particularly impressive now in the Premier League. The home support can improve. Absolutely, it can improve. We go in numbers, but we're not loud enough, and I'm part of that. So we never claim we're the best in the country. We're the best at this. We're not deluded. We're not deluded. There are problems in our fan base. There are some absolute muppets in our fan base, if we're right. All you have to do is look on X to see that's the case. Everybody's got them, but, at least we recognise what we are, don't we? So you'll never hear that from a Sheffield United fan, or you wouldn't if they know the club. Best fans in country. We're great fans. I know the majority of Blades are fantastic, but we don't make out like we're so much better than everybody else, because be real. Honestly, prefer Wes back at this point. Oh, new number one needed in the summer. Honestly, don't think one player had a bad game against Liverpool, other than Gerbic, is obviously what you're saying there, Cavill. So I know what you're saying. One mistake, I'd say, and a big mistake, don't get me wrong, put us massively on back foot. And I thought he recovered well, which to me lends himself to getting another chance. Again, I'm playing devils a little bit, because I would like us to improve goalkeeper. What's happening with our players getting strangled and no happening with Hamer and now Trusty? I know, I just don't. I think something should have happened. They should have been looking at it. He maybe gets a card, but it's not a sending off for me. Tom, good evening, pal. Keeper is abysmal. He's 6'5", supposedly. He's 5'9" when he jumps. Can't knock anyone else from last night up the Ramble. Some anti-Ivo, understand that. I thought it played well, all in all. In fact, they played well for once. I can see brighter days ahead. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Costa del Flamra. Nice one, Andy. Nice one, pal. Evening, Jimmy. Good evening, Ian. One of our mods and also one of our Ramblers. Thought Ivo did well after the mistake. They all make mistakes, but goalkeepers are magnified. Absolutely right. Trusty showed what he's capable of. Many good performances. Enjoy filing up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Always doing me a solid. Top man. Amir, good evening, pal. Worried about the attack next season. As it stands, we've only got Brewster, Asula, and Traore, the only strikers under contract. Would be interested to see Traore in the Championship, but doubt Wilder would be. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Well, we don't know, do we? Because Wilder certainly didn't sanction the signing, but he didn't sanction the loan out as well, I don't think, unless I'm misremembering that. I don't think he's a Premier League player anyway, certainly not Premier League ready. So I would be interested to see whether he's going to be in the mix, because it doesn't look like Nantes are going to sign him permanently, and I understand why. I think we will certainly be looking at a strong striker on loan, whether McBurney stays or not. So I think that will complement our attack pretty well, Amir, to be honest. It'll be one of our key areas that we need to get a top striker, and there'll be money aside for that. Likely a loan, I would probably say. Up the Blade, says Stephen. Up the Ramble. I think we had half a chance against Liverpool. We defended well for the first 75 minutes. Don't think Gerbic is the answer, to be honest. Could be wrong. The Asula and Trusty foul are blatant. Yeah. We're better than the Leeds and the Pigs, though, says Dino. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. I wasn't expecting Garbage to gift them a goal, says Dom. How did Van Dijk stay on the pitch after grabbing Trusty's throat? Up the Mighty Blades and up the Ramble. Never a red, says Gaz. Violent conduct is when a player uses or attempts to use excessive force or brutality against an opponent when not challenging for the ball, which this was not. And if you haven't spotted our Rambler ref, then you may have just done right now. Also, VAR can only get involved if clear and obvious and would need to be considered a red card. I think it was a yellow card at most. So they can't get involved if it's a potential yellow card, which is why the ref clearly hasn't seen it. But you'd think for a hands round the throat, they'd be reviewing for violent conduct, even if it wasn't deemed to be violent conduct on reflection. Interesting. Is Ivo related to Sander? Both are 6'5", and when they jump, they're 5.5 feet. 5'5". Up the Blades, up the Ramble, says Anders. So now I'm going to quickly move on as we move into the last little portion of the warm-up, and I'm going to ask you, what's your team? And let's have a look at my team, and the eagle-eyed of you may notice that this is the same team I put forward for the Liverpool game. Now we're at home. I think this is the team to play. So the back three stay the same. I'm taking Trusty, although he played well, I'm taking Trusty out the side and putting Ozzy back in for a bit of energy up and down the left. Trusty was in the side because we weren't going to push on down. It wasn't going to be overlapping or trying to get forward. It was there simply to defend as part of the away performance. I think when we're at home, even though it's Chelsea coming to town, I think Ozzy gives us a bit more mobility down the left, even though he's not strictly a left wing back. Bogle, I thought played okay. I've seen a lot of people saying he played brilliantly. I thought he played okay. Caught out a couple of times in possession. A couple of sloppy passes that gave the ball away. But he keeps his place because there's no George. I wouldn't mind seeing Sam Curtis at some stage, depending on how the game's going. Blaster is probably the first name on the team sheet at the moment. I'd love to see Andre Brooks starting in midfield. And Gus hopefully makes it. He's undergoing some checks, as we know, following he sort of came off as a precaution, didn't he, against Liverpool in last night. So I've gone with Ollie Mack and BBD up front because, yes, Cameron Archer is available. That was the breaking news at Wilder's press conference. And obviously, McAtee's not in this lineup either. So in an ideal world, if Archer could hit the ground running, I'd be more than happy to start Archer and Brereton Diaz. The fact that you can then bring Ollie Mack on if we're under the cosh to defend and sort of, rather than have to take Ollie Mack off as one of our physical subs, which we usually do have to do on like 60, 70 minutes, we're then under Kosh and with nobody to head out those defensive those attacking corners. So, which is a ridiculous thing to think. You can't bring your number 9 off because we need him for defensive headers, but that's the situation we're in. And I think this way around, we can soak up the pressure as much as we can, and then fresh legs, second half in Cameron Archer and James McAtee on the break, bit of pace up top. I think that potentially lends itself really nicely to counter-attacking football, which we'll need. Even though we're at home, you'd expect us to not have much of the ball, and sort of that is no greater reflection than Liverpool's stats. I think it were 83% possession at some stage, which is the highest possession in a half that in Premier League history. And you've got to think that's against 11 men. Usually, a team has a significant portion of the ball when you're playing against 10 men. So the fact that they had so much possession against us and we had a full team out just shows the gulf in quality. What we're finding is, as the game goes on, the changes to the game that like the big clubs pushed for, 9 subs on the bench, 5 subs that you're able to change, it all leans into the favour of the bigger clubs, doesn't it? You could see some of the subs that they brought on, Andy Robertson, Harvey Elliott, Cody Gakpo. Oh, are we bringing on? Ben Osborne. And that's nothing against Ozzy, but in terms of the levels, the drop-off, we're not making ourselves better, are we? They're bringing on everybody that they brought on yesterday, Curtis Jones, everybody is an absolute star player in our side, their subs, and it just shows the gulf. So, yeah, there we go. Back into your comments then before we wrap up. Oops, bit of a giveaway, Mr. Dunn, says Andy. Absolutely. I don't think half of our players should be here next season, says Stephen. I think you'll see a lot of changes. What were words that Wilder used? Rebuild. I think he said it's a big rebuild. Whatever happens next season, whatever division we're in, it is a big rebuild. So he's thinking the same. I'd expect at least 6 to 8 players to leave, if not more. I don't think we'll want to retain that many. Just not necessarily due to this season's performance, because I think Wilder can get a little extra bit out of them, but have they come to the end of their cycle as a blade? I think about players like Ollie Norwood. I think Max Lowe. That question might be asked about John Egan, George Baldock, even Ollie McBurney, who's, we'd all have different answers, wouldn't we, depending on this. I love George Baldock, but he's just never fit. Such a shame. Great lineup, says Anders. Spot on. Thank you, mate. Not my choice. I think there's half a chance that Wilder goes 4 at the back, and he could go Holgate right back, Trusty left back, and Robbo and Anel in the middle, because they're all centre halves, aren't they? Really, let's be right, and used to playing in a 3, most of them. But that allows us a bit more license to pack the middle. Maybe have McAtee in a bit more of a free role. If he doesn't start with that, it won't surprise me to see us finish up with a formation similar to that. Andrew says it doesn't matter what the score is. We're down anyway. A win would be great. I just want this season to end. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. A lot of people are in that mindset, Andrew. But having said that, now we've started to pick up in terms of performance, if not results, obviously. I find it really interesting to see how players react to certain situations. If we go a goal down, how are their heads going to drop and continue to spiral downwards? Or are they actually going to, like they did last night, stick their head up, chest out, and have a go, which is all we want to see, innit? State your claim for a place in this squad next season. Keep the youngsters like Arblaster and Brooks, along with Egan, McBurney, and a few other experienced players, and bring BBD back. Pair him, McBurney up front, think we'd have a top strike force in the Championship. We would. I think there's very little chance that we get Ben Brereton Diaz back, and I don't mean to be negative in that. I'm just trying to be realistic with you. I don't really see it. Ideally, play Archer and McAtee for an hour, then swap to BBD and coloured boots. Yeah, that'd be the way around we want to do it, but I don't think we will if Archer's not been fit from the start. Can't go not fit to start. I thought Wilder hinted at starting Archer. He certainly mentioned that he was going to be involved. Could be wrong, says Sarah. Yeah, he certainly mentioned he'd be involved and they were a big player for us, and he's been a great signing for us. Completely agree, as will come as no surprise. But yeah, he said he would be involved, says Andy, just confirming that. And Sarah, thanks you for that clarity, Andy. A T-Rex can stretch his arms out further than garbage. Unbelievable. And Sarah's right. It makes sense with him being out for a while. So I'm going to call it there, I think. We've got through the comments. Have a good weekend, Jim. Up the blade. Have a good weekend, everybody else. Yeah, we're now shooting off for the weekend, and I will be back in time to be at Triple Point. Thank you for their support of this channel. Also, huge thank you before I go. I have been today to Bramall Lane myself for an Action Coach Sheffield seminar, and I have to say it was absolutely brilliant. So thank you to John for all your support, and I'm very excited for where this channel can go now in the future, and there's some great ideas that have come out of that. Exciting times ahead. Everybody that's interested might have a small business. Get following Action Coach Sheffield, and John is the man, top man. So Joe just finishes it off tonight by saying Wilder's starting to get the team to play how he wants them to. Looking a bit more confident on the ball. In Wilder we trust. What a way to end, Joe. Thank you for that, pal. I completely agree, as you would all expect anyway. You know, I'm a huge Wilder fan. But hopefully he's turning a few more of those doubters into believers. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blade.